Donald Trump and his family have responded to the raid on their Mar-a-Lago property. We're going to go through some of this. The Epoch Times has a report for us, and you can see here that it tells us the family is reacting to the raid. And here's a photograph of the family. Everybody's sort of lined up there, and I want to share here. It says Eric Trump actually responded. Donald Trump Jr., the eldest child, wrote on Twitter, he said that the Biden administration is out of control. DOJ is ripping this country apart, openly targeting their political enemies. He says this is what you see in a third world banana republic. Eric Trump also hit the airwaves. He was on with Fox News, and so we're going to take a listen to that. Here was the president's son, Eric, and I think he was on Fox News. Here he is. He was describing this live last night after the raid took place, about 9:14 p.m. And when we were sort of unpacking what happened during the raid, apparently it started, kind of a 4 a.m., 6 a.m. type of a thing. And they walked out with a bunch of boxes of confidential records that the National Archives wanted. We still don't know all the details about it because the search warrant has not been published. But this is Eric Trump, who's out literally right after it all concluded, explaining what happened.
I was, Sean. In fact, I was the guy that got the call this morning, and I called my father to let him know that it happened. So I was involved in this all day. And, welcome to politics in the 2000s. Sean, my father never got so much as a speeding ticket in his life, until he made one decision, and that's to go down the escalators of Mar-a-Lago and spend a lot of money and go and actually fight for this country for the first time. And he did a better job than anybody has ever done. And they started coming after him. The Washington Post, the day he won, 2016, the day he won, November 8th, that night they wrote an article. This is when impeachment begins. He wasn't president. He hadn't been elected for for 5 minutes at that point. And they start, this is when impeachment begins. And then he's impeached the first time. And then he was impeached the second time. And they slandered him. They belittled him. They went after him. They went after all of us. There's no family.
We've covered most of these stories. Remember, we talked about Vasilyek and the Russian ambassador, and that Donald Trump Jr. met with him in Trump Tower, covered all of that, mostly nonsense. We actually read the transcripts. I think that was Michael Flynn, right, who's communicating with foreign agents about a transition that was already well underway. Nothing that I saw that was illegal. They investigated it, impeached him once and again, and they lost both times. They made civil claims against him. They went after his CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Alan Weisselberg, and they were just auditing his grandkids' tuition. Right. So talk about the Trump family. They were going after a CFO's grandkids. Like, everybody in the Trump world has been so under the thumb of the feds ever since day one. Letitia, tishiest of the Tishas James, remember her? This illegitimate president. Every time she talks, her TDS starts acting up and her face spasms. So, we've got a lot of efforts from these people time and time again, and they just are not able to seal the deal. They've got an entire January 6th committee that they've been shoving down our gullets for the last 18 months or so, and trying to craft the narrative there. Doesn't work. So this is escalatory. They're having to break glass in case of emergency here, and this is where it's going.
In American history that has taken more arrows in the back than the Trump family every single time. And you know what? It's gone on past politics. You look at the attorney generals, you look at district attorneys all over the country. All they want to do is they want to get Donald Trump. They raise money on it. They send fundraising emails about it. They brag on camera about it. They go after him. They subpoena him. I'm probably the most subpoenaed person in the history of the United States. Every single day we get another subpoena. And they do it for one reason.
Oh, that's so painful. I shouldn't be laughing at that, right? It's death by lawyers. And this is something that we've talked a lot about. I've made a lot of complaints about Democracy Docket and Mark Elias and the people who run the National Labor's Union Board. All of these agencies got together. They created a team to win an election, and they've been doing it ever since, and they've been using the law in their favor. They sent Michael Sussman over to harass the FBI, publish the story, and investigate this and all this stuff. Same thing happened with the Whitmer plotters, right? They created a whole fake narrative.
Because they don't want Donald Trump to run and win again in 2024. And Sean, that's what this is about today. To have 30 FBI agents, actually more than that, descend 30 on Mar-a-Lago, give absolutely, no notice, go through the gate, start ransacking an office, ransacking a closet. They broke into a safe. He didn't even have anything in the safe. I mean, give me a break. And this is coming from what? The National Archives? Yet, Hunter Biden, he's at firearms crimes, prostitution, illegal drugs, shady deals with everybody around the world. And by the way, it's all on his laptop for the whole world to see. In his own writing, in his own words, corroborated by everybody. Where are these FBI agents? Where is everybody? Why is it that the arrows only fly at Donald Trump and his family? Why is it that the political persecution only goes one way in this country?
Great question, Eric Trump. And I think a lot of people are going to be asking themselves that, wondering if this is the beginning of the end. Is this sort of the first domino? Is this the weaponization of the DOJ to an irredeemable degree? Is the FBI so broken that there's no redeeming it at all? Well, Donald Trump seems to think so. He posted this. He says there is a nation in decline. He's talking about us. That's the United States. It's about a 4-minute ad that he published. And so let's listen into some of this. And then we're going to get into your questions and your comments. And so get those fingers ready on the keyboard so that we can get to those and your super chats and our new members, Herman, in a minute. Here's Donald Trump.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, where the stock market just finished the worst first half of a year in more than 5 decades. We are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history, and we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, which we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers and American citizens and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own. We are a nation that over the past 2 years is no longer respected or listened to all around the world. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty and freedom and faith. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. But soon we will have greatness again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. Ever, ever, ever. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. We will never let you down as long as we are confident and united. The tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.
The best is yet to come. President Donald J. Trump. So I know there are a lot of people who are watching this garbage happening around the country and having a lot of despair and anxiety and difficulty, but hang on, right? I think there's a lot more coming down the pike, and there will be a response to this. Sometimes things have to get a little bit darker before the dawn. We might be there, but that doesn't mean that times are over.